five kleshas are the layers through which we have to go one by one to peel off all our layers of ignorance, basically. And because of that ignorance, we all are suffering. And that's why we all are here. We keep getting born again and again. And not only that, we keep on suffering. And we keep on running after something that does not even exist. Mrugamarichi, they call Mrugajar. It's like a mirage. We keep on running, thinking that's where the pleasure is. And we keep running and running. Pleasure comes partial, and then again we keep running. So what happens is, the five kleshas described by Patanjali are the solution to our problem on a permanent basis. It's not just a glimpse, and I'm not saying there is no happiness in the outside world. There is happiness, but it's momentary, and then it's followed by unhappiness. And there is always lack of something. There is always something that comes along, then that's temporary. The pleasure becomes temporary. It does not stay permanent. There is a permanent pleasure possible. And the only way it's going to happen is if you analyze your whole life, your psyche, and then get down to the root of the problems. And once you realize you would not even have to work on any of the problems of the life, meaning literally any problem. Somebody wants to lose weight, somebody wants to give up this, somebody wants to do this, whatever, it doesn't matter. Once you realize your true nature, things will just happen. You would not even have to work for it. Because the whole purpose of the life is not really to work, to enjoy and have a good time in life. That's the whole purpose of life. But the fun that you can have is defined by Paramatma, not the way we define. So what happens is, he starts with the five kleshas. The first one, as we discussed earlier, was clinging to the life. Abhinivesh. Abhinivesh is a clinging to the life. Means whenever there is a problem, we look for a solution from the life. We say that, okay, I want to make X amount of money. Now, if I don't have that money, if nobody's going to give it to me for no reason, I'm going to look to the future. I'm going to say, okay, X number of patients I'll see, whatever, buy, borrow, steal, whatever. Some way along the line, I'll create that money. So my dissatisfaction of what I had generated my desire to look to the future. And the future is life. So I'm clinging to the life. If I'm unhappy, I'm going to go into alcohol. That's again clinging to the life. Life is all the material world that's out there. That's going to give me what I need. Now, I'm going to be struggling.
I think you're going to give you what you want.
Right.
Okay.
But that's what I said, right?
No, you say what you need.
For your purpose.
Okay,
but you may have created your own need in your mind.
Okay.
Yeah. Not basic needs I'm talking about. I'm talking about the need that your mind has created. That I need this, right? But then it's your desire that, and you're, again, yeah.
No, I was just differentiating between need and want.
In the traditionally speaking, yes, want is a better word than a need, yeah.
Okay.
But in your mind, you might be set that this is what I need, But again, you're right.
Yeah.
So need and want are two separate things. Yeah, agree. So whatever you want, you're going to be looking for from the life. That's Abhinivesh. So if we analyze the whole situation like we did earlier in last couple of lectures, is that will happen when your basic dissatisfaction leads you to achieve something.
Yeah.
So then the next level of layer of the klesha, the second klesha comes in. So Abhinivesh is because of rag and dvesh. If you like something, you're going to go after it. If you don't like some situations, you want to walk away from it. You may be in a situation which you don't like, and you cannot help it. You're just there, and you're stuck in it. So what do? You look at, say, okay, I'm looking at the future. Maybe 5 months down the road, 6 months down the road, it will be over. And then you get comfort. So again, you're clinging to the life. You're hoping that life will create a situation which will be more suitable to your desires. So again, you're clinging to the life. So somehow, deep in our mind, it's been ingrained that whatever we need, we can get it from life. And that's a wrong thinking. Because the life, meaning the universal forces, I may want $1,000 from you, but you may not want to give it to me. I may have dead sure that I will be able to get it from you, but you may not be able to give it to me because you may have different needs. You may have different ideas, and then I may get very upset. Things like that. But the desire to ask something from life, there is a basic flaw in the theory. And the basic flaw is that life does not always give you what you want. It may be short, maybe more. That's not the point. The point is your desire to ask for something from life. Underlying, you go to the next level, is your rag and dvesh, your attachment and hatred about different things, different people. Any situation you are in is created by people, objects, and the situation that is created from it. So all those objects, you will have either likeness or hatred, one or the other. And you're not perfectly even with it. So you are either too happy and you want that to continue. Your kids are in the house, you have a full house and you enjoy the kids, this and that. You don't want them to leave. You're just so happy. But someday they're going to leave and you're going to be unhappy. So again, you're putting your source of pleasure on the external people. Either it could be people, could be objects. Buy a new Mercedes, 6 months down the road, turn out to be a lemon. And now you have trouble. Now you have to go back and forth. This and the same car, which was giving you immense pleasure for 6 months, now you have to go back and forth to the dealer all the time. And you're hating it. I hate this car. So you bounce back all the time. So spirituality says that external world is neither a source of pleasure or neither a cause for the hatred, one or the other. So we go further down. What is the cause? Why do we hate things and why do we love things? Everybody does. Everybody has opinion about situation. All you have to do is start talking about Obama, Barack Obama, and then everybody has 15 people in the room, 15 different opinions. So everybody has opinions. I like him, I don't like him, this and that. And everybody has a different reasons for it, right? So the thing is that when we go down further, deeper into this rag and dvesh, stands out the ego. The ego is your identification, is your personal likes and personal dislikes are decided by your basic personalities. Ego meaning I am. Ego means asmita. Aham brahmasmi. Asmi means I am. So I amness. When you consider yourself as something, as a male, as a female, as a doctor, as a physician or merchant, pharmacist, engineer, whatever, that is your I amness defines you. So that sets you apart. And along with that comes your fixed ideas, vrittis, vasanas, things like that. So wherever you walk around, you're walking around with those vrittis and vasanas, and that defines you. That's your individuality. And based on that individuality, we're walking around with a ruler in our hand. Everybody has to fit into that ruler. If anybody is 1 inch taller, no good. 1 inch shorter, no good. Everybody has. So our decision to walk around with the ruler is our ruler. And it's our ego. We always walk around with that. And everybody has to fit into it. If they don't fit it, we don't like them. If they really fit very well, we love them. So again, rag and dvesh are created because of our, good morning, because of our asmita. And so we went by layer. First it was the abhinivesh. Abhinivesh is the lust for life. Means clinging to the life, looking for solution from the life. Whatever, because we are dissatisfied with life. Why we are dissatisfied? Because of rag and dvesh. So that's 3 layers. 4th layer is the asmita. And asmita means ego, your identification of yourself. There's one more layer beyond that. What is the reason for it? Avidya. Lack of knowledge. And the lack of knowledge ultimately comes down to the spiritual background, is you don't know what you are. I will give you a big essay to write down. You're going to fill out 10 pages. I am this, I am this, I am this, I am this. But you are none of this. You say, I am Nilesh, I am this, I am Bakul, I am engineer, I am doctor, this and that. everything that you're going to write down will be in relation to something else. You are a male. A female has to be there to define you as a male, to set you apart. If everybody was male, then you're just a creature. So there is always based on duality. Your perception of yourself is based on duality. But when you go beyond all that, and then you receive the true vidya, the true spiritual knowledge, that's when you realize that you are that nirgun, nirakar atma, and nothing else. And at that level, once you reach that level, you realize yourself to be that, then your avidya disappears. That I amness disappears. And if you notice, a lot of problems are created by our ego. Husband and wife fight all the time. I mean, it's all egos clashing. There is nothing else there. I want this, why didn't you do this, this and that and all that. All this bickering is going on because of the ego. If the ego is resolved, there is no problem. So, avidya leads to ego. Ego leads to likes and dislikes. And because of the likes and dislikes, you want to cling to the life. So, when you cling to the life, there would be nothing wrong if everything went very well. If you wanted $5 million, if everybody wanted $5 million and they got $5 million, where is the problem? There is no problem. But chances are things they don't happen. And once you do get $5 million, then your eye is on the $10 million. Right. It never ends. So the clinging to the life is a wrong approach.
If everybody has $5 million, it's not important anymore.
Exactly, that's true too. That's what Rajneesh says. Yes, if everybody had a Kohinoor hero,
Right.
then
Elizabeth.
Queen Elizabeth would not be putting in her crown anymore. Then kids will be playing with it all around the streets. So the uniqueness and the dualities and all those things are the causes of our suffering. And that's why peeling these layers one by one is the method that Patanjali has given us. And that's called, the method is called Pratiprasav. Pratiprasav is going within. Prasav is the delivery. This is, instead of evolution, this is involution. We're going within and dissecting our own layers of sufferings and our all own layers of ignorance. And then once we analyze the whole problem, everything becomes neat and clean. But it requires practice, but before that you need vidya. Vidya is the spiritual knowledge. Without that, people are suffering and don't come to a solution. So, but sometimes without this knowledge, things don't go right. And we get into such a habit of doing things, and everybody is doing it. Even whatever we're doing, even right now, we can trace back several years, several months in the back to analyze why we were doing it. You can trace it back to the same problem of avidya. And we gave the example of the friends who were told that, oh, you don't have money, this and that. Again, if vidya was there, and if knowledge of the self was there, they would never have been insulted in the first place.
Right.
Because they would have never considered themselves to be something.
Right.
So they identified themselves with the ego, and that's why they got bad. And that's why the whole process of life started, and many myriads of struggles and everything happened, right? So, but the vidya is not easy to come, and it's not easy to grasp either. Because vidya...
Okay, that's it. Garage door open ready.
Oh, I see. Yeah, right.
Sorry.
No problem. So, the problem is the vidya can be exchanged in a proper settings. It's not something that can be learned in schools. It's something that requires a closer contact for a long time and with an open mind. When the mind is not open, that's why all these Upanishads were created, where you sit near a guru and you have a close bond and the knowledge is exchanged in a very intimate settings. It does not happen, you can just write something and people will read and everybody will get it, because there is a lot of brooding necessary to go over it.
Attunement with the teacher is required.
Absolutely, yes.
That's why kings and queens, they used to have separate teacher for their,
Right. For intimate. Good
to,
morning.
be in contact with
Sure.
Yeah,
So, I had a patient yesterday, last patient of the day. and see how the spirituality can be, perceived in a totally different way. It's interesting. So he comes in, and he says, "How are we doing?" "I'm fine." And I said, "Yeah, everything is good. This weather is so nice." And he says, "Oh, I hope this year is better than last year." And I said, "Well, good and bad is just the concepts, So I started, and it fell on my face though. He says, "Doc, my wife died last year."
So that's good or that's bad?
It is not for the enlightened people like you. It is for the common people he's talking.
So he says, "My wife died last year. I hope this year is better." So I didn't have much to say. So I said, "What happened?" She was not my patient. So she had a terminal pancreatic cancer.
Okay.
And I said, "I'm sorry, Joe. I feel sorry, but." She says, "Yeah, but I'm coming out and this and that, but at least I have the animals to take care of." And I said, "What animals do you have?" She said, "I have a couple of cats and a dog and things like that." So I said, "Now you're switching from wife to the cats and dog." And he was okay, he had no problem. So we were discussing, and I said, "You're switching, but there is another way. And all your pleasures and displeasures." I said, "Obviously you loved your wife, and now you're missing her, so you're so upset. But the same thing could happen to the dog. I mean,
Maybe these dogs and cats were already there. Maybe
They
his
were
wife
there.
was taking care of, and now
Yeah,
it
yeah.
got
Now it's in his hand,
transferred to-
and he retired. He says, "I couldn't handle all this because he had to take care of his wife, and so he's retired, and now he has to. At least he says, now I have dog and the cats to take care of, so at least keeps me busy. Otherwise, I'll keep thinking about my wife and this and that and all that." So I said, "But I understand. So you're missing all the good times that you had with your wife, right?" I said, "But now, same thing can happen to the cats and dog. I mean, they
can die.
could get sick and they could die too." He says, "Yeah, but things like that." So, but he's just not ready to detach himself, not trying to grasp it, because the seeds of spirituality doesn't always fall on the perfectly fertile soil. So it falls on a cement and concrete too, and then it does not take the roots. So he just couldn't get it, and I tried to explain to him, say, "You're not the body, you're not the mind," and it was just becoming too much. He says, "Doc, what do you think this is?" So he changed the subject altogether. And I said, "All right, so much for that now." So this kind of knowledge is not for everyone either. So you have to have a proper understanding, open mind, and then only you can
I think
progress.
I can relate to that also, because
Yeah.
many times I bring with adolescent kids, with so much mental pressure and all
Right.
those things, and most of the things are just behavioral. But if their upbringing is Christianity based, and if
Right.
they read their Bible and they get explained in a certain specific way, they don't want to accept any other view.
Yeah,
they
right.
think that by you brainwashing me, you're trying to convert me.
Right,
to
right,
you.
right, exactly.
Yeah, they get
So
defensive.
very limited, yeah.
That
Let me
limits
get
their
defensive.
understanding power.
Right.
It's not like about religion or philosophy or
True.
your God is better than my God.
They
It's
don't
not
have
like
open
that.
mind.
They don't
But,
have that.
They don't
but
have open
Nilesh
mind.
bhai,
Only
I
one-
tell you, the problem is with the teaching, not
Teaching.
with the person.
Exactly.
Definitely not with Jesus Christ. Not with
Jesus.
Jesus Christ. The problem is the preachers.
Preachers been trained and retrained, and
Yeah.
they've been brainwashed the
Yeah.
whatever way.
No, because that protects their administrative interest.
Yeah.
See,
And
if they have
and
followers, then they can survive.
and that also builds a superiority that we are.
Yeah, true.
Our religion is
Absolutely.
superior. Our religion is the best.
Yeah.
Our God is the supreme God. Has to be the supreme God.
I had a patient actually. She told me, he says, "You don't have Jesus Christ in India?" He says, "Then
We have every
what
God
else
in
do you
India."
do? Then they cannot think of anything else.
No, we have every god in India.
I know.
If you see all our bhajans, they
Right.
take everybody, Allah, Yeshu, Jaurashtra.
Yeah, they include everything.
Yeah, everybody.
See, our religion doesn't hate anybody.
No, they include everybody. That's the religion.
So the thing is, there is a lot of efforts in going and running and chasing the objects, and it tires you out. There are a lot of efforts involved. First of all, you are separate than the object that you're trying to reach. So you are separate, the object is separate, and the process, and you are not there yet. So you have continuous dissatisfaction that you are not there yet. So from moment A to moment B, between A and B, there is a lot of struggle involved until you get there, if you get there. And if you get the promised pleasure that you thought that you will get there. So all these things, and then you have to start the cycle all over again with next object.